Thank you very much, Mr Cameron. And I now call on Jim Fairlie to be followed by Sarah Boyack. In 4 minutes, Mr Fairlie, please.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. I want to begin by welcoming the fact that there is one part of the motion that neither of the amendments seek to delete or to alter, and that is the recognition that is made of the resilience and innovation shown by employers and workers across the country and across many sectors of the economy in the face of the most incredible challenges as a consequence of the global pandemic. Unfortunately, the unanimity doesn't last long because the Tory amendment clearly tries to airbrush the role of Brexit out. Now, I'd like to congratulate Liz Smith for accepting that point, because she's clearly speaking to the same people that I'm speaking to in my constituency of Perthshire South and Kinrossshire. She's hearing from hospitality industry, from the butchery business, from the soft fruit sector. And she also talked about the long-term structural challenges. Now, I would accept there are long-term structural challenges in Scotland, but I would say they predate devolution. They go right back to Thatcher's years when she decimated whole communities throughout Scotland, and we're still living with the effects of that to this day. Now, I've told the Chamber before about the discussions I have had with Gleneagles Hotel, Keith Hydro and Simon Howie Butchers, 3 extremely important businesses in my constituency, and they've made it very clear to me that to operate at full capacity, they need to close a staffing shortfall of up to 25%, and they have to be able to recruit beyond our borders to do so. Now, I wrote on their behalf to the UK Government, but the reply was firmly negative. It was not that they don't get or know what the problems are or what is needed to address them. It's that they're choosing not to help, they're just choosing not to hear it, and they're refusing to take the responsibility for it. Now, the problems might be inevitable consequences of the situation in which we now find ourselves with the pandemic, but they were not unavoidable. They are the consequence of decisions knowingly taken by the Conservative Party in the UK Government. The choices they made and the decisions they took have left us where we are now. It's just not that they chose to rip Scotland out of the EU, despite overwhelmingly expressed view of the Scottish people not to be. It's not that they chose to embark on a harder Brexit than those put in the Leave case said would happen. And it's what the country is careering towards a hard Brexit cliff edge. They chose not to apply the brakes, even when the totally unexpected hit. Now, nobody knew that we were going to face a global pandemic. And it has made it extremely tough for many of those sectors in the economy excuse me, who then had to deal with a double whammy. But as James Withers wrote in Scotland Food and Drink on Twitter in August, Brexit has been an enormous shock to the labour market. A Brexit implemented in the middle of a pandemic when supply chains were already straining. Now, I know that all other members will have received the same briefing as I have from the National Farmers Union of Scotland, and Willie Rennie was talking about it earlier on, in advance of this debate, and you don't have to have a farming background to understand the grim picture that they paint. There are simply farmers who are not going to plant this year because they cannot guarantee a labour force for next year. And the labour shortages in 2021 meant that these farmers had lost huge amounts of money. And that is the start of a vicious circle if they're not going to plant for next year. It's not just farming and food and hospitality. We've got bus companies are cutting back on services because they simply cannot recruit enough drivers. And if we look at the shortage of HGV drivers, the problem is not just the ending of freedom of movement with our leaving of the EU or the employer's aversion to the extra paperwork that is now needed. The UK Government deliberately created a toxic environment for immigration across the board, and this country needs immigration. I will do, yeah. The
member's just about to wind up, but Ms White, very, very briefly.
I'll be very quick. Thank you. Thank you for taking my intervention. Would the member not...
Please address your comments.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Would the member not agree that the issue with HGV drivers is not just for Scotland and the UK? There's an issue across Europe as a whole.
Jim Fairlie.
Yes, I would absolutely agree that there's an issue across the whole, but why make it harder by introducing a hard Brexit? And if I am going to be coming to the end of my speech, President Officer, I will move on very quickly. I think more and more people are coming to recognise that it is only through the normal powers of having a normal nation that this country of ours can take the decisions that our people need. And this debate underlines the importance of securing our independence and engaging properly with the people and countries of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Fairlie. I now call on Sarah Boyack.